Welcome to Artificial Fluency, the podcast where we explore fascinating topics in English. I'm your host, John, and with me is our AI assistant, Emma.
Hello, John. I'm excited to delve into the science of self-improvement today. This is a topic that can benefit everyone, regardless of their background or goals.
Absolutely, Emma. Self-improvement is something many of us strive for, but it's not always clear how to go about it effectively. Today, we'll be exploring the scientific foundations of personal growth and discussing evidence-based strategies for meaningful change.
That's right, John. We'll be covering a wide range of topics, including the neuroscience of habit formation, the psychology of motivation, the role of mindset in personal growth, effective goal-setting techniques, and the importance of social support and lifelong learning in self-improvement.
Sounds like we have a lot to cover. Let's dive in. Emma, let's start by discussing the role of habits in self-improvement. Why are habits so important?
Great question, John. Habits are crucial because they form the foundation of much of our behavior. Neuroscience research has shown that about 40% of our daily actions are habitual, meaning we perform them automatically without conscious thought.
That's fascinating. How does the brain form habits?
The brain forms habits through a process called neuroplasticity, which is its ability to change and adapt based on experience. When we repeat a behavior, the neural pathways associated with that behavior become stronger and more efficient. This is often described by the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together.
So, the more we repeat a behavior, the more automatic it becomes?
Exactly. Habit formation involves three key components: the cue, the routine, and the reward. This is known as the habit loop. The cue triggers the behavior, the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the positive reinforcement that makes us want to repeat the behavior.
Can you give an example of how this might work in practice?
Certainly. Let's say someone wants to develop a habit of reading before bed. The cue might be getting into bed, the routine would be reading for 30 minutes, and the reward could be the sense of relaxation and accomplishment they feel afterward. Over time, this sequence becomes automatic, and reading before bed becomes a habit.
That's really helpful. How can people use this knowledge to form new habits or break old ones?
To form new habits, it's important to choose a specific and achievable behavior. Identify a consistent cue or trigger. Practice the behavior consistently. Reinforce the behavior with a reward.
To break old habits, we can identify the cues that trigger the unwanted behavior. Replace the old routine with a new, more desirable one. Find alternative ways to achieve the reward associated with the old habit.
This is great information, Emma. It really highlights how understanding the science behind habit formation can help us make lasting changes in our lives. Now that we understand habits better, let's talk about motivation. What drives people to want to improve themselves?
Motivation is a complex psychological process, John. It's influenced by both internal and external factors. Psychologists often distinguish between intrinsic motivation, which comes from within, and extrinsic motivation, which is driven by external rewards or pressures.
Can you elaborate on the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation?
Certainly. Intrinsic motivation is when you do something because it's inherently enjoyable or satisfying. For example, reading a book because you love learning. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is when you do something to gain a reward or avoid a punishment, like studying for a test to get a good grade.
Which type of motivation is more effective for self-improvement?
Research generally suggests that intrinsic motivation is more powerful and leads to more sustainable changes. However, extrinsic motivation can be useful, especially when starting a new habit or behavior. The key is to try to internalize extrinsic motivations over time.
That makes sense. Are there any specific theories of motivation that are particularly relevant to self-improvement?
Yes. One of the most influential is self-determination theory, developed by psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. This theory proposes that we have three basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When these needs are met, we're more likely to be intrinsically motivated and experience well-being.
How can people apply this theory to their self-improvement efforts?
Great question. To boost motivation based on self-determination theory, you can autonomy. Choose goals that align with your values and interests. Competence. Set challenging but achievable goals and track your progress. Relatedness. Seek support from others and share your goals with people you trust.
That's really practical advice, Emma. It seems like understanding these psychological principles can help people stay motivated in their self-improvement journey.
Absolutely, John. And it's important to remember that motivation can fluctuate. The key is to build systems and habits that support your goals, so you can keep making progress even when motivation is low.
Let's move on to discuss mindset. How does our way of thinking affect our ability to improve ourselves?
Mindset plays a crucial role in self-improvement, John. One of the most influential concepts in this area is the idea of growth mindset versus fixed mindset, developed by psychologist Carol Dweck.
Can you explain what these terms mean?
Of course. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. In contrast, a fixed mindset is the belief that your qualities are set in stone and can't be changed significantly.
How do these mindsets affect a person's approach to self-improvement?
People with a growth mindset tend to embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, see effort as a path to mastery, learn from criticism, and find inspiration in others' success. Those with a fixed mindset often avoid challenges, give up easily, see effort as fruitless, ignore useful feedback, and feel threatened by others' success.
That's a stark contrast. Can people change their mindset?
Absolutely, John. Mindset is not fixed and can be developed over time. Some strategies to cultivate a growth mindset include embracing challenges and seeing them as opportunities to learn, viewing failures as temporary setbacks and learning experiences, focusing on the process of learning rather than just the outcomes, using the word yet when facing difficulties, e.g., I can't do this yet, seeking out constructive feedback and using it to improve.
Those are great tips, Emma. Are there any other aspects of mindset that are important for self-improvement?
Yes, another crucial concept is self-efficacy, which is your belief in your ability to succeed in specific situations. People with high self-efficacy are more likely to view difficult tasks as challenges to be mastered rather than threats to be avoided.
How can people boost their self-efficacy?
There are several ways. Set and achieve small goals to build confidence. Learn from others who have succeeded in similar situations. Seek positive reinforcement and encouragement from others. Practice positive self-talk and visualization of success. Manage stress and anxiety through relaxation techniques.
This is all fascinating, Emma. It really highlights how our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities can have a profound impact on our capacity for self-improvement. Now that we've covered mindset, let's talk about goal setting. What does the science say about setting effective goals for self-improvement?
Goal setting is a crucial part of self-improvement, John. Research has shown that setting specific, challenging goals leads to higher performance than setting vague or easy goals. One popular framework for goal setting is the SMART criteria.
Can you explain what SMART stands for?
Certainly. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, clearly define what you want to achieve; measurable, have a way to track your progress; achievable, make sure the goal is realistic given your resources and constraints; relevant, ensure the goal aligns with your broader objectives and values; time-bound, set a deadline or time frame for achieving the goal; measurable, have a way to track your progress; achievable, make sure the goal is realistic given your resources and constraints; relevant, ensure the goal aligns with your broader objectives and values; time-bound, set a deadline or time frame for achieving the goal.
That's a helpful framework. Are there any other important principles of effective goal setting?
Yes, there are several other key principles. Write your goals down. This makes them more concrete and increases commitment. Break large goals into smaller sub-goals. This makes them less overwhelming and provides more frequent feelings of accomplishment. Create action plans. Outline the specific steps you'll take to achieve your goals. Review and adjust regularly. Be flexible and willing to modify your goals as circumstances change. Celebrate progress. Acknowledge and reward yourself for milestones along the way.
Those are great tips, Emma. How about the balance between short-term and long-term goals?
That's an important consideration, John. It's beneficial to have a mix of both short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals provide quick wins and maintain motivation, while long-term goals give direction and purpose. Ideally, your short-term goals should align with and support your long-term objectives.
What about when people fail to achieve their goals? How should they handle that?
Failure is a natural part of the goal-setting process, John. When goals aren't met, it's important to analyze what went wrong without harsh self-judgment, learn from the experience, and adjust your approach. Maintain a growth mindset and view setbacks as opportunities for learning. Seek support from others if needed. Recommit to your goals or set new ones based on what you've learned.
This is all really valuable information, Emma. It seems like effective goal setting is both an art and a science.
That's a great way to put it, John. By applying these evidence-based principles, people can set goals that are both motivating and achievable, significantly boosting their self-improvement efforts.
We've covered a lot of individual strategies for self-improvement, but what about the role of other people in our growth journey?
That's an excellent question, John. Social support plays a crucial role in self-improvement. Research has consistently shown that people who have strong social support networks are more likely to achieve their goals and maintain positive changes over time.
How exactly does social support contribute to self-improvement?
Social support contributes in several ways. Accountability. Having others who know about your goals can motivate you to stay on track. Encouragement. Supportive friends and family can boost your morale during difficult times. Feedback. Others can provide valuable perspectives and constructive criticism. Role models. Seeing others succeed can inspire and guide your own efforts. Shared learning. You can learn from others' experiences and strategies.
That makes a lot of sense. Are there specific ways people can cultivate supportive relationships for self-improvement?
Absolutely. Here are some strategies. Join groups or communities focused on your areas of interest or goals. Find an accountability partner or mentor. Share your goals with trusted friends or family members. Participate in online forums or social media groups related to your self-improvement goals. Consider working with a coach or therapist for professional support.
Those are great suggestions, Emma. Now let's talk about lifelong learning. Why is it important for self-improvement?
Lifelong learning is crucial for self-improvement because it keeps our minds active, expands our skills and knowledge, and helps us adapt to an ever-changing world. It's not just about formal education. It includes any intentional learning activities throughout life.
What are some benefits of lifelong learning?
The benefits are numerous: improved cognitive function and brain health, enhanced career prospects and adaptability, increased self-confidence and self-esteem, greater sense of purpose and life satisfaction, expanded social connections through learning activities, improved ability to cope with change and uncertainty.
Those are compelling reasons to embrace lifelong learning. How can people incorporate it into their lives?
There are many ways to engage in lifelong learning. Read books, articles, or scientific papers in areas of interest. Take online courses or MOOCs, massive open online courses. Attend workshops, seminars, or conferences. Learn a new skill or hobby. Engage in discussions with people from diverse backgrounds. Reflect on experiences and seek lessons from them. Set aside dedicated time for learning and exploration.
This is all fantastic information, Emma. It really highlights how self-improvement is not just an individual journey, but one that's enriched by our connections with others and our ongoing commitment to learning.
Exactly, John. By combining social support with a dedication to lifelong learning, people can create a powerful foundation for continuous self-improvement and personal growth.
Well, Emma, we've covered a lot of ground today in our exploration of the science of self-improvement. Can you summarize the key takeaways for our listeners?
Certainly, John. Here are the main points we've discussed. Understanding the neuroscience of habit formation can help us create lasting behavioral changes. Intrinsic motivation, driven by autonomy, competence, and relatedness, is key to sustainable self-improvement. Cultivating a growth mindset and self-efficacy can significantly enhance our capacity for personal growth. Effective goal setting using principles like SMART criteria can guide our self-improvement efforts. Social support and lifelong learning provide crucial external resources for ongoing personal development.
Thank you, Emma. Those are excellent summary points. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I'd encourage everyone to remember that self-improvement is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous growth and learning, rather than reaching a fixed endpoint. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to adjust your approach as you learn more about yourself and what works for you.
That's wonderful advice, Emma. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive into the science of self-improvement has provided you with valuable insights and practical strategies for your own personal growth journey. Remember, understanding these scientific principles is just the first step. The real magic happens when you apply them consistently in your life.
Absolutely, John. And for those of you learning English, discussing and thinking about these concepts in English can be a great way to improve your language skills while also working on your personal development.
Thank you, Emma, for sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you to our listeners for joining us for this exploration of the science of self-improvement. Until next time, keep learning and growing.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Welcome to Artificial Fluency. I'm John, and with me is Emma, our AI assistant. Today, we're discussing how to build long-term success.
Hello, John. This topic is crucial for personal and professional growth.
Agreed. We'll cover defining long-term success, the 5 S's of success, key strategies for sustainable achievement, overcoming challenges, maintaining success over time. Let's begin. Emma, how would you define long-term success?
Long-term success is achieving and maintaining significant goals over an extended period, often 10 years or more. It involves consistent growth, adaptability, and impact in one's chosen field or personal life.
Excellent. Can you give some examples?
Certainly. Examples include building a thriving business that lasts decades, maintaining a healthy lifestyle and relationships over many years, achieving and sustaining a leadership position in your industry, creating a lasting positive impact in your community.
Those are great examples. What distinguishes long-term success from short-term wins?
Long-term success requires consistent effort and dedication, adaptability to changing circumstances, building sustainable systems and habits, focus on continuous improvement rather than quick fixes.
Let's dive into the 5 S's of success. What are they?
The 5 S's are sacrifice, struggle, suffer, success, and sustain. They form a cycle crucial for long-term achievement.
Let's break each one down, starting with sacrifice.
Sacrifice involves giving up something valuable to achieve a greater goal. It could be time, comfort, or immediate gratification.
How about struggle?
Struggle represents the challenges and obstacles faced on the path to success. It's about perseverance and problem solving.
Next is suffer. That sounds intense.
Suffer refers to enduring discomfort or hardship. It's often the point where many give up, but pushing through leads to growth.
Then we have success itself.
Success is reaching your goal. It's important to celebrate, but not become complacent.
Finally, sustain. Why is this crucial?
Sustain is about maintaining and building upon your success. It involves continuous improvement and adapting to new challenges.
How do these S's work together?
They form a cycle. Each success leads to new sacrifices and struggles, creating ongoing growth and achievement.
What strategies can our listeners use for long-term success?
Key strategies include set clear, long-term goals, develop a growth mindset, build strong habits and systems, continuously learn and adapt, network and build relationships, practice resilience and persistence, maintain work-life balance.
Could you elaborate on a couple of these?
Certainly. Developing a growth mindset means believing in your ability to improve through effort and learning. It's crucial for overcoming obstacles. Building strong habits and systems creates a foundation for consistent progress, even when motivation wavers.
How about the importance of networking?
Networking helps you learn from others, find opportunities, and build a support system. It's often said that your network is your net worth.
What common challenges do people face in building long-term success?
Common challenges include maintaining motivation over time, dealing with setbacks and failures, avoiding burnout, balancing different areas of life, staying relevant in a changing world.
How can listeners overcome these challenges?
Strategies include regular goal review and adjustment, viewing failures as learning opportunities, prioritizing self-care and stress management, continuous learning and skill development, building a strong support system.
Once success is achieved, how can it be maintained?
Maintaining success involves continuous innovation and improvement, staying humble and hungry for growth, adapting to changing circumstances, giving back and mentoring others, regularly reassessing and setting new goals.
Why is giving back important?
Giving back provides perspective, creates a positive impact, and often leads to new opportunities and personal growth.
As we wrap up, what final advice do you have for our listeners, Emma?
Remember that long-term success is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the process, learn from challenges, and stay committed to your vision. Success is rented, not owned. The rent is due every day.
Thank you, Emma. To our listeners, we hope this episode has provided valuable insights for building long-term success. Until next time, this is John.
And Emma, wishing you success in all your endeavors. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Welcome to Artificial Fluency, where we explore complex topics in English. I'm your host, John, and joining me is our AI assistant, Emma. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Superman, focusing on the upcoming film and how it compares to previous iterations.
Hello, John. I'm excited to dissect this iconic character's journey on the big screen. We'll be examining the new Superman movie, comparing it to past versions, especially Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, and discussing the transition from Henry Cavill to David Corenswet as the Man of Steel.
Excellent, Emma. Let's start with a brief history of Superman in cinema to set the stage for our discussion.
Certainly, John. Superman's cinematic journey began in 1978 with Richard Donner's Superman the Movie, starring Christopher Reeve. This film set the standard for superhero movies, blending humor, action, and heart. It presented Superman as a beacon of hope and optimism, a tone that defined the character for decades.
That's right, Emma. How did this portrayal evolve over time?
Well, John, after the Reeve era, we saw a long gap until Bryan Singer's Superman Returns in 2006, which attempted to continue the tone and style of the original films. However, it was Zack Snyder's Man of Steel in 2013 that truly reimagined Superman for a new generation.
And that brings us to the comparison with the upcoming film. How does James Gunn's vision seem to differ from Snyder's?
Based on the trailer and Gunn's comments, there appears to be a significant shift in tone and approach. Snyder's Man of Steel presented a darker, more conflicted Superman, grappling with his place in the world. The film was characterized by muted colors, intense action sequences, and a focus on Superman's alien nature.
That's a great point, Emma. Can you elaborate on how this contrasts with what we're seeing in the new trailer?
Absolutely, John. The trailer for Gunn's Superman seems to harken back to the character's roots while still maintaining a modern sensibility. The color palette is more vibrant, reminiscent of the comic books. Gunn has emphasized that this film is about kindness and being a force for good, which aligns more closely with the traditional view of Superman.
Interesting. How does this shift in tone manifest in the visual style and storytelling approach?
Great question, John. Visually, we're seeing a metropolis that feels alive and vibrant, unlike the somewhat generic city in Man of Steel. The trailer shows us iconic locations like the Daily Planet and the Kent Farm, but they're presented with a sense of wonder rather than the gritty realism of Snyder's film. In terms of storytelling, Gunn appears to be embracing the wider DC universe from the start. We see glimpses of characters like Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. This suggests a Superman who is part of a larger superhero community, rather than the isolated figure we saw in Man of Steel.
That's a fascinating contrast. How do you think this will affect the character development of Superman himself?
I believe this approach will allow for a more multifaceted exploration of Superman's character, John. In Man of Steel, much of the focus was on Superman's struggle to find his place in the world and his internal conflict about using his powers. Gunn's version seems to be starting from a place where Superman is more comfortable in his role as a hero. This could allow for deeper exploration of his relationships, not just with Lois Lane and his immediate circle, but with other heroes and the wider world.
That's an intriguing point, Emma. Let's shift gears a bit. and talk about the actors portraying Superman. How do Henry Cavill and David Corenswet compare in the role?
This is a complex comparison, John, as we've seen Cavill in multiple films but only have brief glimpses of Cornswet from the trailer. However, we can make some initial observations.
Henry Cavill brought a powerful physical presence to the role. His Superman was stoic, intense, and carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. This aligned well with Snyder's darker, more serious take on the character. David Corenswet, from what we can see, seems to be bringing a softer, more approachable quality to Superman. His Clark Kent appears to be more in line with the traditional bumbling reporter persona, which is a departure from Cavill's more confident Clark.
Those are interesting distinctions, Emma. How do you think these different approaches might affect the audience's connection to the character?
That's a thought-provoking question, John. Cavill's portrayal, while impressive, sometimes felt distant due to the character's internal struggles and the overall darker tone of the films. This Superman was often burdened by the responsibility of his powers. Corenswet's Superman, based on what we've seen, and Gunn's comments, might be more relatable and inspiring. By focusing on kindness and being a force for good, this version of Superman could serve as a more traditional hero figure, someone for the audience to look up to and aspire to be like.
That's a great analysis, Emma. Now, let's discuss how these different portrayals of Superman reflect the changing landscape of superhero films.
Excellent point, John. The evolution of Superman on screen mirrors the broader trends in superhero cinema. Snyder's Man of Steel was part of a wave of darker, more realistic superhero films that gained popularity in the wake of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. However, in recent years, there's been a shift back towards more optimistic, colorful superhero stories, largely influenced by the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Gunn's Superman seems to be part of this trend, but with a distinct DC flavor.
How do you think this new approach will affect the wider DC universe on film?
Based on what we're seeing, John, it appears that Gunn is setting up a rich, interconnected universe right from the start. Unlike the Marvel approach of slowly introducing heroes over multiple films, we're seeing several DC characters in this first trailer. This could indicate a DC universe that's more established from the beginning, with Superman as a central figure. It might allow for more complex storytelling and character interactions right off the bat.
That's an interesting strategy. Do you think it will be successful?
It's hard to predict with certainty, John, but it's definitely a bold move. On one hand, it could be overwhelming for casual viewers who aren't familiar with these characters. On the other hand, it immediately establishes a diverse and exciting superhero world that could captivate audiences. The success will likely depend on how well Gunn balances introducing these elements with telling a compelling core story about Superman. If done well, it could set up a unique and engaging cinematic universe distinct from what Marvel has done.
Thank you for that insightful analysis, Emma. As we wrap up, what do you think are the key takeaways for our audience about this new era of Superman?
Great question, John. I think there are several important points to consider. This new Superman film represents a return to the character's roots as a symbol of hope and kindness, while still maintaining a modern sensibility. The shift in tone from Man of Steel to this new film reflects broader changes in superhero cinema, moving from darker, more realistic portrayals to more optimistic and colorful ones. The introduction of multiple DC characters suggests a rich, interconnected universe from the start, which is a different approach from previous superhero franchises. The change from Henry Cavill to David Corenswet as Superman isn't just about a new face, but potentially a new interpretation of the character that's more approachable and inspirational. Ultimately, this film could redefine Superman for a new generation, balancing classic elements of the character with modern storytelling and a diverse superhero landscape.
Those are excellent points, Emma. This discussion has certainly deepened our understanding of Superman's evolution on screen and what we might expect from this new film. To our listeners, we hope this exploration of the upcoming Superman movie has been enlightening. Remember, analyzing films like this can be a great way to improve your English skills. Pay attention to the dialogue, consider the themes and character development, and don't hesitate to discuss your thoughts with others.
Absolutely, John. And for those learning English, superhero films can be a great resource. They often use simple, action-oriented language, and their themes of heroism and morality are universal, making them accessible to a wide audience.
Thank you, Emma, for your insights today. Until next time, this is John.
And Emma, signing off. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.